These are 10 PS5 tips that you need to know. To avoid losing access to all of your games, you need to make sure that you change this setting on your PS5 right now. If you go to Settings, Users and Accounts, and then enable Console Sharing and Offline Play, this will essentially let you play all of your games offline, regardless of if your console is connected to the PSN network or not. This is very important to make sure that you can always access your library. Normally when this is disabled, you'll always have to have your console online so it can validate your game keys with your PlayStation account. But the problem is when the PlayStation network goes down, which we've seen recently with the outage, loads of players lost access to all of their games, even single player ones. You couldn't even play a dead simple storyline game. So next time there is an outage or any server issues, having this enabled won't stop you from playing your games. Now this next tip is actually going to help you get cheaper games or even free PlayStation games. Let me explain. Did you know that you can complete challenges and games whilst earning free credits on the PlayStation Store? Now first you need to join something called PlayStation Stars. This is a rewards program that you can find within the PlayStation app on mobile. You can browse through the activities and challenges, but make sure that you press start to enable the progression tracking. This will let you collect the points. Upon completion of these activities, you will earn reward points that you can then spend on whatever you like. These credits will then be added to your PlayStation wallet and you're essentially kind of getting paid to play games. You can also get these points for purchasing things on the PlayStation Store. I believe it's around a 4% kickback. So if you spend $100, you get around $4 back in PlayStation Network credits. So it's also useful to know to kind of help you save money when you're purchasing lots of items. Now with your next generation console, you are probably going to want to get the best graphics settings possible from your display. You need to go to Screen and Video and then select Information for Connected HDMI device. This will give you a full breakdown of all of the supported formats on your current TV or monitor. This will be its max resolution and also its maximum refresh rate. You can then use this information inside of your video and output settings to choose the correct parameters for each box, knowing that you are getting the most out of your PS5. Also, pro tip here, make sure that you check you've got the correct HDMI cable. Sometimes by accident you might be using a HDMI 2.0 cable, but your panel's actually capable of way higher refresh rates and 4K and so on, so make sure you have got that HDMI 2.1 port connected to the relevant displays. Now there is a hidden setting on the PS5 that lets you access Game Boost mode, which will give you better performance, especially if you own a PS5 Pro. Inside video output settings, enable enhanced image quality for PS4 games. By default, for some reason, this is completely turned off. It was also the same on the PS4 Pro. That came by default completely turned off. But this setting, once it is enabled, will make the OG PS4 games look way better and also have slightly better performance. If you also own a PS5 Pro, a great way to find these enhanced games that are supported is within the PlayStation Store. There's literally a tile called PlayStation Enhanced. There's a bunch of titles in there. It breaks down all the features, the extra frame rate boost, the resolution boost, and so on. And it's a very fast and easy way to make sure that you're playing the best possible titles on that more advanced hardware. Speaking of taking control and great organization, since the launch of the PS5, the Control Center has seen a lot of improvements. You access the Control Center by simply pressing the Home PlayStation button on your controller, and then it will boot up at the bottom of the screen. Now, if you open up the Control Center, you can find a bunch of different settings, but two of my favorite are Game Help and also Hidden Trophies. Within the Game Help card, this will help you complete certain scenarios with, in particular, single-player missions, such as puzzles, for example, in like an Uncharted or Tomb Raider. You can use the Game Help to essentially break down the exact steps you need to take to progress through those a little bit faster, because sometimes you're just a bit tired or something and you just struggle to do the puzzle. But in addition to this, if you love collecting your trophies, you can also use a hidden trophy tips, which will allow you to find the hidden trophies in games that don't tell you exactly what to do to unlock it. You can press, I believe it's square on your controller, and it will tell you exactly what to do to complete that, especially if you're trying to platinum games. This will help you do it way faster, and you don't need to jump on to the internet for little guides and so on. On the topic of getting lost and completing games, sometimes you want to do this without getting disturbed at all. This is where silent mode is very useful on your PS5. If you just want to hop in and have a quick game without anybody knowing or inviting you to a party, on the homepage, instead of logging straight into your profile, press the Start/menu button on your controller and then choose Appear Offline at the bottom of this menu. This means you can boot into your PS5, use all of the online features just like normal, but it won't appear inside of the Friends Activity tab. None of the stuff that you're doing, the games that you're playing, the fact that you're online, so they can't spam you or invite you to a party. You can just go complete ghost mode. Whilst we're on this login page, if you are the only person with a profile on your PS5, you can actually enable faster login. If you get sick of having to choose which profile you want to load into every single time time you turn on your PlayStation, head over to Settings, Users and Account, and then scroll down to the bottom where it says Login Settings. Here you can toggle on Log into PS5 automatically. Now when you turn the PS5 on, it will take you straight to the main homepage of the main account that's logged into the console. Probably saving you like 5 seconds, but if you calculate that out over the course of a year, but of compounding on that time, it's probably like a whole day of gaming you get extra completely for free. On the topic of saving time, let me show you some controller shortcuts and tips that are super useful. As soon as you turn your PlayStation 5 on, the microphone will be enabled by default, which captures literally everything that's happening in your room before you maybe connect your chat headset and then obviously mute the microphone. Now you can go into the settings on your console and actually disable this microphone completely by default, but sometimes it can be a useful feature to have this enabled on the controller. So instead, I prefer to use the shortcut where I press and hold down on the mute button on my controller, and this mutes everything. It mutes the microphone, and it also can mute the audio coming out of my TV. If you hold the mute button for a few seconds, it will then turn orange and start blinking. This means all of the microphones are muted system-wide. And you can also use the same command to mute the audio coming out of your TV, which can also be useful, especially if like it starts feeding through the microphone into the party chat before you get your headset turned on. Now, if you like to play for extended gaming sessions and you're struggling with battery life on your controller, you can actually boost the battery life of your DualSense by reducing a few settings. You can reduce the vibrations and also disable the adaptive triggers, and then also disable and reduce the brightness on the touchpad. This is a tip everyone's used since like the PS4. Makes a little bit of a difference, nothing crazy, but it definitely does help with battery life, of course, especially turning off those vibrations. Some useful shortcuts to help you navigate your console a little bit faster. If you press triangle whilst on the homepage, this will jump you straight to the top right corner of your console to the quick settings. So then you can jump in and change all of the parameters that I've been explaining within this video. And another useful tip for turning off a PlayStation controller, especially if you've maybe just done a 2-player gaming session and you don't need the second pad anymore, you can just literally press and hold the PlayStation button on the controller and it will just turn it off. Hold it down for a couple of seconds and it will turn the controller off and completely power it down. This is also quite useful if you use your PlayStation controller on your PC or even potentially on like an iPad, for example. There's no way to turn off a Bluetooth device on there. It just stays on. So you can press and hold that power button and it will power down your DualSense. I was going to say Edge, but you might just have a regular one, your DualSense. Now, probably one of the most advanced features in this video is custom widgets and wallpapers on the PlayStation 5 homepage. When the PS5 first came out, you literally couldn't really customize anything on here, but you can actually reorganize and change the widgets that are displaying on this master homepage. There's a bunch of presets that you can access within the custom menu on here. You can then use the L1 and R1 buttons to resize them as well and really change it how you want it to be, but you can now actually change the wallpaper that displays behind it. When you're on this homepage, if you press R3 on the Welcome tab, this will allow you to customize different presets and also move them around. Then you can press on this little icon that says Change Background, and you can choose through a bunch of presets that are available from Sony themselves, or you can access custom images within your media gallery. So these could be things such as screenshots that you've taken inside of games, but you can also load up custom images from a USB drive. This is something that you've been able to do on Xbox for quite a long time. Like this wallpaper you're seeing behind me is one of my custom ones from our wallpaper pack on my website. It's got like 50 images in there, and they're all like to size or whatever for these next generation consoles and really good file sizes so they don't get too compressed. So you could boot up some images like that onto a USB drive and then just screenshot it on your PlayStation, and then that will allow you to use that as a custom image within your media gallery. There's a few little ways to do that. Super cool that you can customize this now on your PlayStation homepage, and it just allows you to have a little bit more personality and personalization. Now, this next tip is pretty huge, and it's going to allow you to unlock extra storage on your PS5 completely for free. Of course, it's not cheap buying an expansion drive for the PlayStation 5. There are some great budget options, but it's easily going to set you back around $100 to get more storage. But something you may not realize is every single time you complete a trophy in a game, no matter what the level of trophy that is, it will literally do a screen recording and also screenshot, and it will save it to your media gallery. So if you have owned your PS5 for a few years, you may have a few gigabytes of pointless game clips saved on the internal hard drive. So if you go over to your media gallery, it's worth clearing this out and deleting anything that you don't want, and it will free up loads of space. Then you can jump into the recording settings, go to captures and broadcasts, and then at the bottom, there's an option called trophies. In here, you can disable the feature or be more selective of the level of trophies that it will capture, plus the length of the clip it will also record. personally, I would just turn this off because it's kind of pointless. Like, who's really rewatching any of these clips when you get an achievement or something, or a trophy for that matter? So it just means it doesn't clog up any space on your PS5 going forward in the future. Now, if you do want to expand the storage on your PlayStation 5 for more space to download even more games, you should watch this video next for my best budget storage recommendations, because if you like this, you'll like that.